My name is Sandra Whitlock. I am 63 years old, and on the morning I almost died, I was preparing to hand my life's work to my son. I had built Whitlock Supply Group with my own hands after my husband passed away. What began as a small operation, tight margins, modest contracts, grew into a thriving company because I stayed when everyone expected me to sell. I worked nights, weekends, holidays. Not for power, but because responsibility doesn't disappear when life becomes inconvenient. That Tuesday morning, my son Lucas arrived early. He looked calm, almost relieved. His wife, Claire, followed shortly after, polished and composed, carrying a tray with 3 cups of coffee. She handed one to me with a soft smile. At that exact moment, Patricia Aosta stepped into the room. Patricia had worked in my home for 18 years. She knew my routines. She knew how I liked my coffee. She knew when something wasn't right. As she moved past me, she stumbled. The coffee spilled across my lap and onto the carpet. Before anyone could react, she leaned close and whispered words I will never forget. "Do not drink it. Please trust me." My heart stopped, but my face didn't change. I nodded slightly, as if accepting her apology. No one noticed when I switched cups. We sat down. Documents were placed in front of me, papers meant to transfer control of my company. Lucas spoke about responsibility, about the future, about how tired I must be. I lifted the coffee cup and took a small sip. Tasted wrong. 5 minutes later, Claire stopped talking. Her hands began to shake. Her face drained of color. She tried to stand and collapsed. Chaos filled the room. Lucas shouted her name. Patricia froze. I stayed seated, my hands steady, my mind racing. Because as I watched my daughter-in-law convulsing on the floor, one terrifying truth became clear. That coffee was never meant for her. It was meant for me. To understand how that moment happened, you need to understand what came before it. 15 years earlier, my husband died suddenly of a heart attack. One day I was planning retirement trips. The next, I was a widow standing in an office full of men who assumed the company would be sold within months. I stayed. Lucas was 23 then. I tried to shield him, believing he would step up when he was ready. Instead, time hardened him. As the company grew, so did his impatience. He spoke about leadership before he understood sacrifice. Success became something he felt owed, not earned. Claire encouraged it. She never confronted me directly. She framed control as concern. "You've done enough, Sandra. You deserve rest." What she meant was I was in the way. Conversations stopped when I entered rooms. Family dinners felt staged. Documents appeared on my desk without discussion. I told myself it was normal tension between generations. It wasn't. Patricia saw what I refused to see. She noticed Claire arriving early on important mornings, insisting on making my coffee, sending Patricia out of the room. And then my health began to change: dizziness, fatigue, nausea. I blamed stress. Patricia didn't. She started writing things down. One morning, watching the kitchen through a reflection in the glass, she saw Claire remove a small vial from her purse and tip drops into my coffee. Patricia didn't confront her. She knew no one would believe a housekeeper accusing the company heir and his wife. So she documented everything. Photos, dates, patterns, recordings. She overheard Lucas and Claire talking about my will, insurance, timing, how long it would take before I stopped asking questions. They weren't waiting for me to retire. They were waiting for me to die. That morning, Claire added more poison than usual, enough to finish it. Patricia panicked. So she did the only thing she could. She spilled the coffee. She warned me. And when Claire drank from the wrong cup, the plan collapsed. At the hospital, the doctor confirmed it: poison. Lucas answered questions too quickly. He lied smoothly. He agreed to police involvement too easily. Then he said something that changed everything. "We should have the house cleaned. Innocent people protect lives. Guilty people protect scenes." That night, I met Patricia at a cafe. She showed me everything: photos, notes, recordings. One recording still echoes in my mind. Lucas said it would be easier once I stopped signing things. Claire replied, "It won't take much longer." They spoke as if I were already gone. By morning, the police had it all. Lucas was arrested 2 days later. Claire was charged from her hospital bed. At trial, the courtroom was silent as recordings played. My son's voice filled the room, calm, detached, discussing my death like a business transaction. The verdict came quickly. Guilty on all counts. Life without parole for both of them. Lucas looked at me once. There was no remorse. Only anger. I felt nothing. Justice isn't a feeling. It's a result. I sold the house. I stepped away from the company to heal. And when I returned differently. I created a foundation for older men and women facing financial and emotional abuse by their own families. Patricia became my partner, not my employee. I lost a son. But I found clarity. The people who save your life are not always the ones who gave birth to you. Sometimes they are the ones who refuse to stay silent. If there is one lesson my story leaves behind, it's this. Never ignore quiet warnings. Never dismiss the people who see what you're too close to notice. And never confuse kindness with weakness. If something in your life feels off, trust that instinct. You are not imagining it. And sometimes telling your story is the first step toward survival.